"Don't move." That's the first thing I said when I stepped onto my porch and saw a man kneeling at my fence line, flashlight trembling as he'd just been caught rewriting the map of my life. He froze, didn't turn, didn't breathe. Just hovered over a metal stake he clearly wasn't supposed to be planting on my land. I walked toward him slowly, boots crunching gravel. "Go ahead," I told him. "Look up." He did. And the second our eyes locked, he bolted, dropped the stake, scrambled over the fence, and vanished into the trees as someone had just yanked his soul out by the collar. I picked up what he left behind. A polished boundary marker, heavy, stainless steel, stamped with one ugly line of text. Serenity Ridge HOA Phase 4 Boundary Adjustment. I felt my jaw clench. Boundary adjustment. On my property, at sunrise, no notice, no call. Not even a fake friendly knock. That stake wasn't just metal. It was a message. A confident one. The kind of confidence people have when they think you'll roll over and let them redraw your life for community improvement. If you've ever dealt with people like that, hit the like button, because this mess is about to get real. I turned the stake in my hand. They thought they could shift my line before breakfast. They thought wrong. Because if this was their opening move, they had no idea what kind of war they were waking up to. By the time the sun climbed over the ridge, I already knew someone would show up. You don't plant a stake that bold unless you've got backup. And right on schedule. Gray SUV, spotless tires, windows tinted like a government car, rolled up my driveway. The door opened and she stepped out first. Karen Edwards, HOA president. 5'7" of boardroom confidence wrapped in a cream blazer that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Hair pinned sharply, lips pressed tighter than a contract deadline. She walked like the ground belonged to her, and she was just letting me borrow it. Two more followed behind her. Mr. Beck, HOA treasurer. Thin, nervous, constantly pushing his glasses up like reality kept slipping off his face. And Linda Shaw, compliance officer, clipboard in hand, expression stuck somewhere between irritated and self-important. Karen didn't bother with a hello. "Morning," she said, eyes locked on the stake I'd placed on my porch. "We need to discuss a compliance misalignment on your boundary," corporate slang. Straight out of a manual nobody normal would ever read. I crossed my arms. "Funny, I don't remember approving a sunrise excavation crew." Beck flinched. Linda scribbled something. Karen just smiled, thin, rehearsed, weaponized. "If you've ever met someone who smiles like they own your next breath, hit the like button," I muttered under mine, because she wasn't here to talk. She was here to claim. And the next thing she said proved they'd already made plans for my land, without. Carter Mills stepped out of the SUV like he owned the dirt under his shoes, portfolio tucked tight under his arm. But before he opened his mouth, let me tell you one thing, I'm not the kind of man who folds. Name's Marshall Stokes. 42. Tall, broad-shouldered, work boot kind of guy. Simple haircut, sunburned neck, calloused hands. I'm the type who fixes fences with my own tools, drinks black coffee at sunrise, and minds my land like it's part of my spine. So when Carter walked up my porch like he was pitching a $1 million merger, I already knew he was trouble. "Mr. Stokes," he said, smiling like a plastic badge, "let's talk opportunity." He flipped open a glossy folder without asking. Inside, a development map, neat roads, houses, a park, all drawn directly across my pasture like my land was a doodle they could erase. "This is Phase 4, he said. "We have investor traction. We just need your seamless exit strategy." Exit strategy? For my home, I pushed the folder back with 2 fingers. "No exit, not for sale." His smile didn't drop, but it cracked at the edges. If someone's ever tried to sell you your own property, hit the like button. Because this man was rehearsed, polished, and dangerous. And then he told me something that changed the whole fight. Phase 4 was already approved on paper. Carter's SUV hadn't even left my gravel before the next vehicle showed up. A white utility truck, flashing hazards, clipboards, the full "we're official" costume party. Karen Edwards stepped out first. Cream blazer, sharp hair. Expression like she was inspecting a factory instead of my front yard. Behind her, 2 board members followed. Mr. Beck, nervous, twitchy, glasses fogging in the heat. Linda Shaw, stiff, annoyed, gripping a compliance clipboard like a weapon. Karen didn't waste a second. "Mr. Stokes, we're addressing a structural risk profile on your property." Translation: they were here to cause problems. Linda shoved a stack of papers at me. "Immediate attention required." Violations, fake ones, fence height inconsistency, visual uniformity breach, mailbox curvature deviation, mailbox curvature. You can't make this stuff up. This is harassment, I said. Karen smiled, thin and professional. Compliance ensures harmony. If that line ever came out of someone who wanted your land, drop a comment, because harmony was the last thing they were after. They weren't inspecting, they were scouting. And the next envelope they delivered wasn't a violation, it was a threat. By morning, the attack had changed shape. Thump, thump, thump. Envelope after envelope hit my door like they were launching a slow-motion barrage. I didn't even need to open them to know the game. They were trying to drown me in paperwork until I tapped out. Immediate corrective action. Escalation pending. Non-compliant boundary behavior. Boundary behavior. What was I, an unruly pet? I spread the letters across my porch. Fake issues everywhere. Unauthorized tree density. Fence tone misalignment. Non-standard rural aesthetic. Rural aesthetic. This is a pasture. They weren't correcting anything. They were building a case to shove me off my own land. I took a breath, snapped a picture, and muttered, "If paperwork's ever been used as a weapon against you, hit that like button, because this is warfare." But then I noticed one envelope wasn't tossed. It was taped to my railing. Different paper, different seal. Serenity Ridge HOA presidential notice. I peeled it open. Failure to vacate or adjust your parcel boundaries will result in forced remediation. Forced remediation, corporate code for, "We're coming whether you agree or not." And that night, they proved they meant it. I didn't sleep. Something about that letter felt like a countdown had started. And right around 1:17 a.m. I heard movement. Soft, careful, brush rustling near the east fence. I stepped outside silently, letting my boots sink into the dirt. A thin red laser flicked across the fence boards. Not an animal, not a hunter. Someone was scanning. I moved closer, slow, controlled. Two silhouettes crawled along my property line, kneeling every few feet, hammering new metal stakes into the soil. Just like the first one I caught. But now they were laying an entire grid. One whispered, "Karen wants this section shifted before sunrise." Karen, pulling strings in the dark. I flicked my flashlight on full beam. Both men snapped upright like I'd hit them with a voltage line. "Hey," one yelped, stumbling back. "We're contractors, just following boundary directives." "Whose directive?" But I already knew. They held tablets, corporate gear, digital maps glowing with lines that didn't belong to them. I stepped closer. "You're trespassing. And you're done." If an HOA squad ever tried sneaking into your yard at 1 a.m., drop, but it wasn't catching them that mattered. It was what their tablet showed me next. I snatched the tablet out of the contractor's hand before he could even protest. He froze. The other guy swallowed hard like he already knew he'd messed up. On the screen was a full development layout. Clean lines, perfect measurements. Color-coded zones, and right in the middle of it my pasture, my barn, my home, all labeled as if they were already gone. A neatly printed line across the top read, "Serenity Ridge Phase 4 Finalized Build Map." Finalized. Not proposed, not pending. Finalized. My thumb scrolled, slow and steady. Roads, already drawn, lot numbers, assigned, projected home values, listed like the ground under my boots belonged to them for generations. They even had a tiny decorative pond drawn exactly where my cattle trough sat. I stared at the contractors. "You boys understand this is fraud, right?" They didn't answer. They didn't have to. Their silence was loud enough to drown a generator. I handed the tablet back. "Tell your boss," I said, voice low, "this map is the last mistake she'll ever make on my land." The taller one opened his mouth, but all that came out was a shaky, "We're just following HOA procedural alignment." Procedural alignment. Corporate talk, for we know this is illegal, but we're paid not to ask questions. I turned around, walked back toward the house, and felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just boundary pressure. This was a takeover. And the next morning, I found the one piece of proof that could burn their whole plan down. The next morning, the air felt different, still, heavy, like the land itself was holding its breath. I walked the fence line, checking the spots those contractors had been working overnight. And that's when I saw it, a single metal stake they didn't manage to yank before I scared them off. But this one wasn't like the others. It had a laminated sheet clipped to the top. Weatherproof plastic, corporate-style formatting. Bullet points, Logos. I pulled it off and unfolded it, and my stomach did a slow, cold turn. This wasn't just a map, it was a county submission copy, stamped, reviewed. Awaiting final approval. My property number was printed on it. My acreage, my address. And under ownership transfer status, someone had typed, in progress HOA to finalize displacement protocol. Displacement protocol. They didn't want me to sell, they wanted me gone. I wiped the dust off the bottom corner and saw the signature. Karen Edwards, HOA president. Her name was right there, authorizing a land transfer that had never existed. A signature approving a map she knew was forged. A plan was submitted to the county behind my back. My hands tightened around the page. They didn't just cross a line. They detonated it. If someone ever tried to erase you on paper, hit the like button, because I wasn't about to let them bury me quietly. And once I had proof, I knew exactly who the first call had to go to. I didn't call Karen. I didn't call the HOA. I didn't even call the county. People who play dirty don't fear noise. They fear exposure. So I went straight to the one group guaranteed to panic the moment they smelled liability, Horizon Vista Land Development. The big money investors are backing Phase 4. I printed everything. The forged map, the midnight stake, the county submission copy, a still shot of the contractors sneaking around my fence at 1 a.m. I sealed it all inside a thick manila envelope and drove 40 minutes to their nearest office, plain building, tinted glass, the kind of lobby where everything smells like carpet cleaner and corporate excuses. The receptionist barely looked up. Drop-offs, she said. Legal department, I replied, placing the envelope on her desk. She reached for it casually, then stopped, feeling the weight, thick, heavy, dangerous. Her eyebrows lifted half an inch. The universal sign of this is above my pay grade. Deliver it straight, I said. Today. I walked out without waiting for a signature. That envelope wasn't a complaint. It was a bomb. And bombs don't need follow-up calls. By the time I got home, my phone buzzed twice from an unknown Austin number. I didn't pick up. Let the panic spread first. And the very next morning, panic showed up wearing suits. The following morning, a sleek black sedan rolled up to my gate. No HOA stickers, no fake authority badges. These weren't neighborhood warriors. These were corporate firefighters, the kind who show up only when a corporation smells smoke coming from its own paperwork. A man stepped out, sharp suit, silver portfolio, expression calm like he was trained not to react to anything until he saw my fence line. Mr. Stokes, he asked. Depends who's asking. Ethan Calder, he said. Horizon Vista Legal Compliance. Legal. That word hits different when it walks up your driveway. He didn't shake my hand. He didn't waste time. He just opened the portfolio. Mr. Stokes, we received an anonymous documentation package yesterday. I raised an eyebrow. Anonymous, huh? He nodded once, slow, deliberate. I'm here to confirm whether the materials are authentic. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Instead, I walked to my porch, picked up the forged map they left behind, and handed it to him. His face didn't change, but his posture did. Corporate men don't flinch. But they do stiffen when their entire project collapses in their hands. Mr. Stokes, he said quietly, Phase 4 should not exist in this state. That makes two of us, he swallowed, and for the first time I saw sweat. And that's when he asked the question I'd been waiting for. Will you testify? Fast forward 3 weeks, courtroom packed. The HOA board dressed like they were attending a funeral, their own. Karen sat at the front table, blazer iron stiff, eyes hollow like she hadn't slept since the investors found out. Her lawyer kept whispering, we can explain this. But even he didn't believe it. Judge Halford walked in, old school, no nonsense, the type who can smell dishonesty like gasoline. Case, Stokes versus Serenity Ridge HOA. Here we go. Their attorney started with the usual script. Your Honor, Mr. Stokes has repeatedly obstructed authorized community development. I slid a USB drive across the table. Play it. The screen lit up. Night footage. 2 men are crawling through my fence. Laser scanners, metal stakes, corporate tablets. Then the UV light hit. Their bodies were glowing like ghosts at a crime scene. The courtroom murmured. Karen's face drained. The judge leaned forward. These individuals were acting under HOA direction? Silence. Then came the next video, the forged county map, her signature. The displacement protocol. Karen finally spoke, voice shaking. It was a misunderstanding. No, the judge said, it was fraud. He slammed the gavel. Phase 4 is officially void. The HOA is prohibited from entering Mr. Stokes's land. All violations dismissed. County investigation recommended. Karen covered her face with her hands. It was over. Or so I thought, until the county called me the next morning. The county investigator showed up the next day. Older guy. Kind eyes, boots dusty like he'd walked real land, not HOA sidewalks. He didn't come to interrogate, he came to shake my hand. Mr. Stokes, thanks to your evidence, we're opening a full inquiry. Some people on that board made deals they shouldn't have. No pride, no victory dance, just relief. Because for the first time in months, nobody was scanning my fence. Nobody was hammering secret stakes. Nobody was plotting midnight strategy meetings on my soil. My land was quiet again. I walked the pasture that evening, slow, steady, like checking if the ground still recognized me. The old cedar posts remained unchanged. Grass bending in the wind. Birds are cutting across the sky. The simple things that mattered before the war started, and I realized something truthfully. It had never been about the paperwork. It had never been about the signatures. This fight was about identity, about home, about not letting people erase you just because they have fancy letterheads and clipboards. And somewhere in the middle of that pasture, I whispered, if you're gonna stand your ground, stand it smart. Because the real lesson didn't come from the court, it came from the land itself. People often think that owning land is primarily about money. A mortgage, a deed, a plot number in a file. But if you've ever worked a pasture, repaired a fence, or watched the sunrise hit the same patch of dirt for years, you know better. Land isn't just something you own, it's something that owns a piece of you. And that's why the HOA never stood a chance. They thought this was about boundaries on a map. But for me, it was about legacy, about dignity, about not rolling over because someone with a blazer and a clipboard said you should. I didn't win because I fought harder. I won because I fought smarter. I documented. I prepared. I stayed calm when they got loud. And that's the part I hope you take with you. You don't need to start a war to stand your ground. But if someone drags you into one, fight with evidence, not anger, with discipline, not panic. And above all, don't let anyone redraw the lines of your life without your permission. If this story hit you in the gut, if it reminded you of your own battles, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And drop a comment telling me what you'd do if someone tried to take your land. Because this story started with a single stake in the dirt, but the lesson lasts a whole lifetime. And trust me, the next story starts with another line someone tried to cross.